But it's like I do that every you know.
It's
probably get tired of it at some point.
You know, consistency is not a terrible thing.
That's true.
I'll see that.
Pre-show. There it is.
You got it set. All right.
Tonight.
Echo. Okay. You just.
Alright, check it out.
That's it. I know what it is.
Okay, go for it.
Do a favor, scroll down.
Yep.
Right here.
There.
Or just a little bit more. Scroll all the way down.
Down?
Yeah.
Oh, like this.
Yeah. Mute that one. Yeah.
Got it.
That should fix it.
That should fix it.
What are you doing, Salem?
No, there's a cat there.
Oh.
Yeah. Podcast is live.
Yeah.
There we go.
Good. All right.
That's. I don't dance like that. What am I doing?
I don't know. I didn't miss it. Let me look over here. Look on the delay screen, see what happened. That was awful.
Right? I wish we were in front of a green screen so that we could have taken that clip and put me in like dancing scene in movies. So you've seen Spider-Man 3, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so Tobey Maguire dance scene.
Yeah.
People have taken that and like cut him out.
Oh yeah.
And then put him in other movies with dance scenes. It's like it's perfect, you know.
They did the same thing with Baron Zemo.
Yeah.
In Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
I'm gonna need this for later.
Possibly. Might help. Oh my goodness.
I don't remember which account this is under right now.
Well, I don't know. That's
it's mine. So yeah, I can talk good about myself.
Oh.
Yeah.
No. It's awful.
Yeah. This is the power I have at my fingertips.
Pretty obvious, to be honest.
I mean, he's only got like all the icons and everything. And if you click on his name, then he's an editor for the channel and an admin for the channel, a mod for the channel.
I think there might be some bias. I'm not sure.
Maybe just a little bit. Thanks, Raptorian XP Kai. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Don't look at my Twitter. Definitely isn't the same name.
No. Coincidence.
Yeah, that's all. Just a coincidence.
Oh, my goodness.
But it has been 12 months since this account has been subbed, so.
Okay. Well, we appreciate that.
I appreciate me.
Yeah. There you go.
We got a fun show planned for tonight. We're finishing up Fizzban's.
Yep.
So we got a little bit more pre-show time. We already know a couple of our regulars aren't going to be here tonight.
Yeah.
Raise that cat up higher. Cats will get views.
Right. Set him up here. There we go.
So if you were to cast Find Familiar, give me a situation where a cat is a good choice for a wizard instead of all the better options.
When you have rats.
You did, in fact, do exactly what I requested. Thank you.
All right. We got that under taken care of.
It's just like I wish cats were better familiars, you know? Because cats are perfect.
Stat-wise, yeah.
But stat-wise, they're so bad.
Yeah.
Because like if as Waverly has said, if you want something small, you can go for a mouse.
Yeah.
And they can sneak into anywhere, you know?
Yeah. Also, a squirrel's really good, too.
Yep. See through their eyes and climb easily. But a cat is such a good... In a real-life situation, if I want to be able to see through something's eyes and get a bunch of information...
Yeah.
I'm going to get a cat, I'm going to take it somewhere, I'm going to leave the cat there, and I'm going to leave.
Yeah.
And people are going to go, oh, and pick the cat up, you know?
Yeah.
And it would be perfect. But in D&D, stat-wise, cats are terrible.
Yeah.
They don't even have dark vision out to very far. It's like 40 feet, right?
Which is weird because, you know, you do fine, looking through their eyes, you do fine seeing stuff a little ways off. Their close vision that's terrible.
Yeah. Unless it's black. True, you can swing it then, but... Just it feels weird to me that cats are so bad as familiars when they're so perfect for it in like thematically.
Yeah.
But
like you should get an extra bonus if it's a cat.
Yeah.
And you're a witch.
Hello, Salem.
Yeah.
How are you? Yeah, that's what I thought. You want to part a little louder so the mic can hear you?
Mm-hmm. Good, dude.
I didn't think this cat would still like me after I put Salem back outside earlier.
Right.
Because I opened the door and Salem came running in and tried to jump on the cable again.
Oh, yeah.
So I put Salem back outside. I was like, this cat's going to hate me now. But no cats could hate me.
No.
I am friend to all the animals. That's why I play a druid.
Yeah, she snuck out and around the other way.
Salem, say hi. Get us some views.
We have a kit.
Why do you want on my computer? Why do cats love computers so much?
I don't know. You never.
So, I should probably specify that we are going to be skipping part of chapters. Not part, but like we're going to be skipping most of chapter 5 today. The Draconomicon, because we want to focus on the Bestiary. It's toasty. That's probably a good reason, actually. Is it toasty?
A little bit, maybe.
Maybe honey wheat with some strawberry jam on there? What do you think? No, yeah. Cats like warm stuff, for sure. But we're going to be... Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah.
We're skipping...
Skipping the Draconomicon for the most part. I want to cover one little thing, and then we're going to hit into the Bestiary.
Excellent.
And just really dive into that.
Cool.
I figure we'll give it a couple more minutes, and then we'll hit it.
Let's see what's going on. I'll let the cat have to look a few more times.
And after this, we'll be done with Fizzban's, assuming we finish the Bestiary today.
Yeah. Well, we may not have to hit everything in the
Right.
Bestiary to get people to look at, but like some of the cooler stuff possibly get in there.
And then next week, we're kind of torn. We have options.
Yeah.
There's a weird promotional thing that we might cover.
From the nerds?
Yeah, from the Nerds crossover. Not Revenge of the Nerds.
No.
Would be funny, though. But we also might just go back into whatever we were covering before Fizzban's. Classes, right? Yeah.
Which I think we only got a couple of classes to go as our backup. I think.
Yeah.
Wizard, I think, actually, don't we?
I think it's just Wizard, yeah.
Yeah, we did Warlock.
Because we did Warlock patrons and everything.
Oh, yeah.
It's just Wizard left.
Yeah. Alright.
It'll be fun. The Wizard schools are great.
Yeah. Alright, it's been almost 8 minutes.
Yeah. You ready to kick this thing off?
Get this thing started.
Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the Full Spectrum D&D podcast. My name is Trey.
I am Rungren.
And we've got some fun stuff to cover. I do now need to say at the top of the show that if my voice gives out partway through, I've recorded like 4 hours worth of video of just me talking today. So, just heads up.
It's not going up anywhere. He just does that from time to time.
Yeah, just for fun. Gotta practice the old vocal cords, you know?
Yeah.
So, I did want to touch on one thing from the Draconomicon, which is the Draconomicon, the whole chapter is about how to run the dragons, how to make a dragon, tables that allow you to... that's true. Tables that allow you to give the personalities to the dragons and help you make them quicker, you know?
Yeah.
But the very last section of the Draconomicon is on dragon turtles.
Okay.
And there's a fun little thing from Bahamut here, from Fizzban, right?
Okay.
That is, I know I didn't make dragon turtles, and Tiamat swears she didn't. So where did they come from? More importantly, why?
Yeah.
And I just want to call out one, because there's all these tables, and I've skipped all of them. But I want to call out one table here, which is the dragon turtle personality traits. And number 3, I think of ships as kindred spirits and like to rub affectionately against their keels. But it goes into like how you run a dragon turtle, what kind of adventure hooks you could use with one, how they can be connected to other things in the world, older, younger, ancient, and just going through it. And I think it's really cool. Their layers, layer actions, regional effects, the kind of treasure they might have. I think it's really cool how they give you all of that. Where you can roll on all these tables and have a very different adventure for each and every one of these.
It feels like a workbook for dragons.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
Which is nice.
From there we get into the Bestiary. And this is the bulk of our conversation tonight.
Right.
And the Bestiary focuses on a bunch of different dragon type monsters, right? Or dragon adjacent monsters.
Right, because we've got I'm sure they don't have the chromatic and metallic.
Right.
Because we got those covered in
instead we're going to the gems.
The monster manual, right?
Yeah.
So they start with the new ones, the gems, which would be the big Because they're like a third big family of dragons.
Right. So there's a big section here on amethyst dragons and on the different colors that obviously they're going to be purple colors, right? But
yeah,
they're amethyst. But on like how deep the purple is, what it means, the royal side of it, their layers, things like that. And then we get the actual like stat block. And I want to do something a little different because we normally like go through the entire stat block.
Yeah.
It's still an Ancient Dragon stat block.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So instead I kind of want to hit on the things that make it different.
Okay. Yeah.
Specifically, I forget my chat goes over when I do that. I'll hold it up like this then. Specifically, I want to touch on the psionics that it can do.
Yeah.
So it has the Singularity Breath, which is a bead of gravitational force in its mouth, and releases that in a 90-foot cone, the ancient amethyst dragon. But it has spell casting through the psionics, and the spells require no spell components. They use intelligence as the modifier, and it can use once a day each. Blink, control water, dispel magic, freedom of movement, globe of invulnerability, plane shift, protection from evil and good, and sending.
That's quite a list.
It's a very big list.
Not to mention that you've still got the rolls for your dragon being a spellcaster.
Right.
So you could have a 20th level wizard as well.
Yes. And it has Psychic Step as a bonus ability that it can do, a bonus action. It allows it to magically teleport up to 60 feet.
Dang.
Yeah, this thing is nuts. Of course, it is an ancient dragon, so it's very strong. But it's very cool to see the way that they work it out there. And then it also has a thing called Explosive Crystal as its legendary action for 3 actions. That has it spit an amethyst that explodes. And each creature within a 20-foot radius from that sphere must succeed on a DC 23 dexterity saving throw, take 18 48 force damage, and be knocked prone.
How often can it do that?
It costs 3 actions of the legendary actions.
3 actions.
So it can't do that all the time, but it can do it once a turn, basically.
Yeah, well, that and a breath weapon.
Yes.
Yeah,
that would just be another thing it could do,
Golly.
The adult version isn't quite as strong, but still gets blink, control water, dispel magic, protection for evil, good, and sending. It still gets the psychic step. And it still gets to use the explosive crystal. It's just only 13 damage instead. 3d6 force damage.
Man, I honestly, if you're using... Man, I can't imagine giving a player a 60-foot step. Like a Misty Step. Just 60 foot. 30 foot, powerful.
30 foot's very good.
60 foot's ridiculous.
Oh, yeah. The young version doesn't have access to that. It doesn't have the step. But it does still have the spell casting, blink, dispel magic, protection from evil and good, and sending. And then it still has the breath weapon, of course.
Okay.
Very, very solid, these amethyst dragons. There's also the wormling version of it, the baby. Right. It can only cast protection from evil and good, Tensor's floating disc, and Unseen Servant, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, actually, man, I tell you, the Unseen Servant, that can be used very powerfully.
Yep.
Especially with gathering information and stuff. And Tensor's flying disc is cool.
Oh yeah.
That's cool. Okay.
So
that was just the amethyst.
That's just the amethyst dragon.
Right.
Next up is the animated breath, which is certain chromatic dragons are able to create beings out of their breath.
Okay.
And the image shown here, I'll show it to the camera as well, is a
I see.
Dragon creating a being out of pure breath energy.
So we can get a shot at it.
Oh no. It decided to...
It didn't like that.
No, it didn't like that at all.
You can't show that.
There we go.
On the show.
I'll leave you up to the chat for now. And we'll just... There we go. Very, very cool.
Alright.
Very, very cool. It has a 15 natural armor, or 17 if it's cold.
Okay.
If it's a cold type. Hit points is 10d10 plus 40.
Okay.
Resistant to whatever breath form it is, right? Immune to exhaustion, paralyzed, petrification, poison, restrained, and unconscious. Because it's not a living being.
Right.
It is energy.
Yeah.
The animated breath takes one of the forms, whichever one was given by the breath itself. And then it has variations. And I'm sure you can homebrew these however you wanted. But if it's the fire form, then it has a fire aura that does 1d6 fire damage to things within 5 feet of it.
Mm-hmm.
And if anything touches it with a melee attack, then it takes 1d6 fire damage as it flares out. There's a acid and poison forms, have a Putrid Aura that does the same thing, except instead of damage, it is Constitution saving throw or be poisoned.
Okay.
It has a Slam Attack and a Multi-Attack Slam Attack, which is 2d10 damage, which is pretty good for...
for a minion.
And then the Lightning form has a Lightning Burst ability that lets it teleport 30 feet.
That's cool.
And after it teleports, anything within 5 feet of it takes 1d6 lightning damage.
That's cool.
Yeah, this is a neat monster.
Yeah. It's a flavor monster. I like it.
Mm-hmm. Next up, we have the first of the two aspects in here, the aspect of Bahamut. Again, if you're fighting the aspect of Bahamut, you have much bigger problems.
Yeah.
But just to give you a couple... Because again, I don't want to spend too long on the aspects, because they could be their own episode, honestly.
Yes.
You know? But just to give you a couple quick things here. He has 585 hit points, 30d20 plus 270. He has...
Resistance to everything.
Oh, yeah. He's immune to everything and immune to all conditions. He has a Platinum Brilliance. If he'd be reduced to 0 hit points, it instead resets him to 500 hit points. He recharges his breath weapon, regains any expended use of legendary resistances. Additionally, the aspect can now use the options in the Mythic action sections for an hour. Yeah. He also has 5 legendary resistances a day.
Man.
He has multi-attack, of course. His bite attack is a plus 19 to hit. And does 2d12 plus 10 piercing damage plus 4d10 force damage. His claw attack is 2d10 plus 10 slashing damage. And if it's a huge or smaller creature, it's grappled and is restrained. Escape is 20 for the DC.
Yeah.
The tail is 2d10 plus or 2d12 plus 10 damage. And if the target's a creature, it must succeed on a DC 27 strength saving throw or be knocked prone. He has multiple breath weapons, which include an Exalting Breath, straight from Mount Celestia itself.
Well, he should have all the breath weapons of all the metallic dragons.
Yeah, and the Platinum Breath that lets him cycle through.
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. Then, of course, legendary actions, he has a Bite. And mythic actions, he has a Celestial Lance that he can do. That basically, he will leap up and then plummet to the ground, like a Dragoon. And each creature in a 20-foot radius, a 100-foot high cylinder centered on that point, must succeed on a DC 27 dexterity saving throw or take 7d6 force damage.
Heck yeah, dude. It sounds like you summoned him in Final Fantasy.
Right?
He comes down from the ground with a spike. With a lance.
Super cool. Also, the aspect of Tiamat.
Yeah.
Which is pretty much the same, right? In a lot of ways. She has the Chromatic Wrath, which means if the aspect will be reduced to 0 hit points, she comes back and gets all the stuff as well. And recharges her Chromatic Flames, which is her big breath weapon.
Okay.
Recharges on a 5 or a 6. DC 27 dexterity saving throw, and on a failed save, you take 11d12 damage of a type of the aspect's choosing: acid, cold, fire, lightning, or poison. She has the Bite, which has the exact same stats as Bahamut's pretty much. But the really cool thing for her is that she has Hurl through Avernus as a mythic action. The aspect targets a creature she's grappling. Creature must succeed on a DC 25 Charisma saving throw or take 8d10 psychic damage and be banished to Avernus. Which, for anybody who doesn't know, that's the first layer of the Hells in D&D. Of the 9 Hells. At the start of the aspect's next turn, the creature reappears in an unoccupied space within 10 feet.
Just go spend 10 seconds.
Yeah. It's literally, what's Banish? Isn't that the name of the spell?
Yes.
Yeah, it's literally that. For a turn.
Yeah, but with a dedicated location.
Yeah. And then, of course, she has Chromatic Flare, which is like the big drop, but this time it's everything. And it's 6d12 damage of whatever type the aspect chooses.
Yeah.
Next up, we have the Chromatic Great Worm.
Okay.
So these are your big monsters.
Yeah,
these are your big boss monsters.
These are after your groups. If your group handles an ancient dragon easily, then
this is where you move next.
Yeah.
So these things have crazy, like a burrow speed, a fly speed, a swim speed. You know, this thing can go wherever it wants. It is immune to, depending on what color it is, the element that it's tied to.
Right.
It has Chromatic Awakening. If it's reduced to 0, it comes back with 425 hit points. And it has mythic actions that it can use then. It also has 4 legendary resistances a day. Your basic Bite is 2d10 plus 10 plus 2d12 force damage. It has the breath weapon, of course, which is 12d12 damage. It has an Arcane Spear as a legendary action.
Okay.
Costs 3 actions. It creates 4 spears of magical force. Each spear hits a creature of the Great Worm's choice. It can see within 120 feet of it, dealing 1d8 plus 8 force damage to its target, then disappears. There is no save for that. It just hits.
It's a 1d8 plus 8 magic missile.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which adds up pretty quick, especially when you're using 4 of them at a time.
Right.
Then it has Chromatic Flare as well, just like Tiamat,
mm-hmm.
which is pretty nice. That's mythic actions. After that, we get into Crystal Dragons, not specifically Amethyst, but just the crystal themselves.
Okay.
And they have Ancient, Adult, and everything like that as well.
Right.
These also have spellcasting through Psionics, like most of the Gem Dragons do.
Okay.
And they can cast, the Ancient one anyway, can cast Dancing Lights and Guidance at will. And then once a day, Command, Divination, Greater Restoration, Hypnotic Pattern, and Invisibility. Which is very good.
Yeah.
It has a really interesting breath attack.
Okay.
So it uses the breath attack, and then if the target... obviously it takes the damage. If it fails the save, it takes the full damage. 11d8 radiant damage. But then it gains 25 temporary hit points after using that breath weapon.
Okay.
Which is a really nifty way to do that.
Yeah.
These also have Psychic Step.
Of course.
60 feet. And then it has a Starlight Strike as a legendary action, which releases a searing beam of starlight at a creature can see within 60 feet of it, which is 11d6 radiant damage if it doesn't succeed.
I'm not so hot. It's really cool. I'm just not so hot on the name.
Yeah, Starlight Strike.
Starlight Strike!
Yeah, it really feels like that. Moon Prism Magic! Which, first off, that's a cool attack. It just has a really unfortunate
name. Yeah.
But I'm going to take my tiara off and I'm going to throw it at you and cut you in half.
Right.
Like, that's pretty dang cool.
Yeah.
But you could have named it something better.
Right.
So then the young Crystal Dragons have Dancing Lights and Guidance at will, but Hypnotic Pattern and Lesser Restoration for their dailies.
Okay.
And the Wormlings just have Dancing Lights and Guidance available.
Okay.
But they all have the Scintillating Breath, and depending on, the Wormlings have 5 temporary hit points, the young ones have 10 temporary hit points, and the Ancients have 25. Okay. The adults have 15.
Okay. 15 to then 25. Okay. So are these neutral?
So they are typically chaotic neutral, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's our first section of the Bestiary. That was A through C. Next up we have D, and then is E through K, and then is L through Z.
Okay.
So we're doing pretty good on time too, I think.
I think so, yeah. Well, it's like we could get really deep into it.
Right.
People need,
But it's also still dragons.
It's still dragons, and,
If you're interested, you should get the book.
Yeah.
Because these are monsters that, for the most part, we've seen before.
Right.
It's just now there's full stat blocks for all of them.
With some tweaks. Or tweaks, yeah. Twist or tweak, yeah.
Deep dragons are next. Deep dragons, of course, being like
Underdark.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like a Shimmer Gloom, right?
Yeah.
Which is very cool. They get into like what is the dragon made out of? Is it sludge and spores? And the ancient deep dragons, that's a thing to say back to back, are pretty much the same as the one we have before,
Yeah.
They have their particular breath weapon, and their particular breath weapon is Nightmare Breath. It's a cloud of spores and a 90-foot cone.
Yeah.
9d10 psychic damage, and it's frightened of the dragon for a minute if it fails. On a save, it takes half damage with no additional effects. A frightened creature can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of its turns, trying to stop it. The legendary actions are where it gets interesting to me. Because it has Commanding Spores. It releases spores around a creature within 30 feet of it that it can see. The target must succeed on a DC 19 Wisdom saving throw or use its reaction to make a melee weapon attack against a random creature within reach. If nothing's within reach, it instead takes 2d10 psychic damage.
It didn't say anything about being charmed.
Nope.
Okay.
Just the spores are taking over your mind. It also has Spore Salvo for 2 actions. Releases poisonous spores around a creature within 30 feet. DC 19 saving throw. Or you take 8d6 poison damage and become poisoned for a minute.
Okay.
And then, of course, they can repeat the saving throw to get free.
Yeah.
The adult version of it is basically the same, but weaker in every regard, of course. And the young version is pretty much the same way in the Wormling.
Yeah.
They don't have, like, spells to be able to differentiate them, really. But it's just they keep getting less and less things they can do.
Right.
But they're still really cool. I like the idea of a deep dragon a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Next up is the Draco Hydra, which is like a mini Tiamat.
Yes. I remember this was 2nd edition.
Mm-hmm. If it takes 30 or more damage in a single turn, one of the heads dies. If all the heads die, the Draco Hydra dies. But at the end of its turn, it grows 2 heads for each of its heads that died since the last turn. Unless it's taken radiant damage since the last turn, and it regains 10 hit points for each head regrown this way. For each head it has beyond 1, it gets an extra reaction that can only be used for opportunity attacks.
Okay.
So a really interesting way to balance that.
Yeah.
Also, whenever it sleeps, at least one of its heads is awake. So you always have that.
Yeah, like the Hydra.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is it set up as like a green, or is it the one or does it gets different heads?
So it does get different heads.
That's what it is.
And it has prismatic breath, just like Tiamat. Although hers is like chromatic flare, right?
So it used to be random. Do they have a chart or anything for that?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
It just whatever heads you want, I guess. But the prismatic breath is 60-10 damage of a type chosen by the Draco Hydra. So it's not each type; it's one particular type. Mm. But it's pretty interesting. But that's the Draco Hydra. You know, it's not too crazy. But if you want something that's not Tiamat, but has the feel of Tiamat to throw at your party, it's a good thing to put on.
Also, if you want a Hydra that flies.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know.
Absolutely.
If you get a situation like that, you can go with that.
Next up are the Draconians. These are what, in a lot of ways, Dragonborn would be if they were only evil, you know?
Yeah, and blew up when they died.
Yeah. Also, that's such a cool thing. When a Draconian is reduced to 0 hit points, it bursts into flames and is reduced to ashes. Okay. Each creature in a 10-foot radius sphere centered on the Draconian must succeed on a DC 13 dexterity saving throw. Take 3d6 fire damage.
We're getting Dragonlance.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And even...
Which I think the original Draconians, when they died, it was a random thing. You could get an explosion, a splash of acid, poison cloud.
Well, and since you brought up Dragonlance, let me mention here that in the paragraph for this it says, on the world of Krynn, Draconian dreadnoughts formed from silver dragon eggs are called Sivak Draconians. So yeah, it's happening. Yeah. It's happening. 100%. Also, they have shape theft as a reaction. After they kill a medium or smaller humanoid, they can magically transform to look like them and feel like that creature while retaining its own statistics. Yeah. Transformation lasts until the Draconian dies or uses an action to end it. Yeah. Which is very cool. They have a serrated sword and a tail attack, both of which are pretty solid. The serrated sword is 2d8 plus 4 slashing damage, and the tail is 1d8 plus 4 bludgeoning damage. And if it's large or smaller, it must succeed on a DC 14 strength saving throw and be knocked prone.
Yeah. Oh, that's pretty standard. Yeah.
There's the foot soldiers as well. They still have the explosion, but these release a petrifying gas when they explode, which is really interesting.
Okay. Yeah, that was another one.
Yeah. These also have wings, so if they're not incapacitated when they fall, they can subtract up to 100 feet from the fall. Oh. Because they have wings.
That's nice.
But other than that, they're pretty weak. So they're a very good fodder monster to be able to throw in. Nice. There's also the Draconian Infiltrator. When they die... When they hit 0, they turn into a puddle of acid and splash acid all around them. Which, hey, that's pretty good. 2d6 acid damage, pretty solid. They also have a glide, because their wings are a little bit bigger. And they have a multi-attack with 2 dagger attacks, both of which are 1d4 plus 3 with a plus 5 to hit.
Fair.
So, pretty solid.
Yeah.
The mage, when it dies, it explodes. Just straight up shrivels away and its bones explode into force damage. Yeah. Which is 2d8 force damage. Yeah. It has the glide as well. And it has multi-attack with 2 trident or necrotic ray attacks. The trident is a 1d8 plus 2. Okay. The necrotic ray is a plus 4 to hit with 3d6 necrotic damage. Ah. And it has spell casting. It can cast enlarge or reduce invisibility or stinking cloud once a day. So these things are pretty solid.
Yeah, I'm so glad that they started putting the instead of saying they cast as this caster or they they get these spells once a day. It just makes it easier.
I agree. Our big boy for the Draconians is the Draconian Mastermind. Okay. When he's reduced to 0, his magical essence lashes out as a ball of lightning at the closest creature within 30 feet of it, before arcing up to 2 other creatures within 15 feet of the first. They all must make a DC 14 dexterity saving throw. On a failed save, they take 2d8 lightning damage and are stunned until the end of the next turn. On a successful save, they take half as much and aren't stunned. It has a rend attack with its claws, which is decent, 1d6 plus 2 slashing on a plus 5 to hit. But its real benefits are its spells. Okay. So it has Energy Ray, plus 6 to hit, 1d10 plus 3 force damage. Noxious Breath, which is recharged on a 5 or 6. Yeah. It has a breath attack, DC 14 con save. On a failed save, they take 66 poison damage and gain 1 level of exhaustion. Which is very, very good. If you can save from it, you're immune to the noxious breath for 24 hours.
That's okay.
Then spellcasting wise, it has invisibility and mage hand. It can use at will.
That's cool.
The dimension door, disguise self words, and sending that it can do twice a day, each. Then it has a reaction called Magic Shield. Literally gets to cast shield on itself.
Okay. 3
times a day.
That's handy.
Yeah, this is a fun monster to run, I think.
Yeah, that sounds like it.
And that's Draconians. They're a really cool thing to have available.
I like that they divided them up
Mm-hmm.
into their own stat block instead of having one stat block and then trying to differentiate underneath.
I agree. The next thing we have is a Draconic Shard. This is a shard off of a gem dragon that has taken on a will of its own. Maybe it's been placed into a sword or something like that.
Okay.
And it has taken up its own will.
Gotcha.
Because they're psionic, Yeah. It's a pretty stout monster. It has no movement, no walk speed, but it has a 80-foot fly speed, hover. And it's resistant to basically everything. It's immune to basically everything because it doesn't have a physical body, really.
Right. It's a construct.
Yeah. It uses incorporeal movement. It has deflection. Its AC includes its intelligence modifier. And its intelligence mod is a +6.
Wow.
So its AC is 17 plus 6.
Yeah.
It's a very stout monster. But of course, if you wanted it to be less stout, you reduce the intelligence modifier. And,
right.
Yeah. It has rejuvenation. If it reaches 0, it will become just the gem. But the gem has an AC of 20, 15 hit points, and is immunity to all damage and force. Unless it's destroyed after 1d20 days, it dissipates and the shard reforms.
And you'd have to smash it with force.
Yep.
Okay.
It has telekinetic rend multi-attack, which is a +12 to hit with 2d8 plus 6 force damage.
That just sounds rough.
Right? Just
telekinetic rend.
It also has inhabit object. The shard disappears as it pours its psychic essence into a medium or smaller non-sentient object it can see within 30 feet of it, magically possessing it. Yeah. The object uses the shard's AC, and any damage dealt to the object applies to the shard's hit points. The shard inhabits the object until it uses an action to leave, until it is turned, until it is reduced to 0 hit points, or until an effect that ends possession, such as Dispel Evil and Good, is used on it. When it leaves the object, it reappears in the nearest unoccupied space. While inhabited, the object becomes a magic item.
Yeah, was it kind of like going this direction for a sentient artifact type thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
Kind of like
it's been possessed by a Draconic Shard.
Yeah, because you have that. I don't know.
Well, and they get into that a little bit here, where hey, it becomes a magic item if it wasn't already.
Yeah.
Whatever type it matches whatever type the gem of the dragon the shard was in life before. The shard can cause the object to fly using its own flying speed, use its senses, speak verbally or telepathically, cast spells, and use its legendary actions.
Yeah.
While it's possessing it. If a creature wears or carries the inhabitant object, the shard can grant the creature the following benefits. Each of the creature attacks deal an extra 1d8 force damage on hit, and they gain resistance to psychic damage.
That's helpful.
Yeah.
I like that.
Instead of a breath weapon, it has Psychic Crush, which works the same way as a breath weapon, really. Each creature of the shard's choice in a 60-foot radius sphere centered on it must make a DC 20 intelligence saving throw, otherwise they take 10d10 psychic damage and are stunned. It can cast at will Detect Thoughts, Invisibility, and Telekinesis. And then it has a legendary action called Commanding Thought. It targets a creature it can see within 30 feet of it. DC 20 Wisdom saving throw will be charmed until the end of the next turn. While charmed, the target becomes the shard's puppet, acting and moving in accordance with its telepathic commands. While under the shard's control, the target can only take the attack, shard chooses the target, or dash action on its turn.
Man.
It's a fun monster.
Yeah, I got 4 gems I'm thinking of right now.
Yeah.
But go for it.
Yeah, that's a really fun monster.
I like it.
Next up is the Dragonblood Ooze. So, imagine that dragon's blood, much like the shard of a gem dragon, became sentient and became an ooze.
Well, I like this, like with the breath weapon thing. It's like extra things going on.
Yes.
It's like you killed the dragon, blood pours from it, and starts to attack.
Right. Yeah, it's super cool. So it is an ooze, which means, of course, it's resistant to a lot of things. But it understands Draconic and the languages of its creator, but can't speak. It's amorphous. It can move through a space as narrow as 1 inch wide. It has Spider Climb, of course. It has 2 pseudopod attacks, +7 to hit, 1d10 +4 damage, bludgeoning. And also plus 46 acid damage. Because of course it would be. And they can grapple targets while they're doing that.
Well, she would like to see that.
Oh, hold on. Let me...
We can do that. Cat Jesse.
Show that ooze.
I'm glad you're here.
And then the big thing is that it has a breath weapon. It has slime breath.
That's nasty.
It expels a spray of its gelatinous mass in a 30-foot cone. Each creature must make a DC 14 dexterity saving throw. And on a failed save, the creature takes 22 4d10 acid damage and is pulled up to 30 feet straight towards the ooze.
I want to start a one-shot with this.
Yeah.
Yeah, the level 20 heroes... the level 20 heroes killed the dragon. The blood killed them and escaped.
Yes.
What's the challenge rating they're giving this on this?
This is challenge rating 5.
I'll see that.
Because it doesn't have a lot of HP. And it's got low armor class, you know.
That's what I was thinking. It would be a good starter. The blood of the dragon.
Yeah.
Entered the village.
It's a really interesting concept. And then you go into like, hey, maybe you can have some artisans that made this thing, but I think it's way more interesting to be like, no, this dragon just didn't want to die.
Yeah.
And now its blood is taking on its sentience, you know?
Well, I think I would just have it like that's a spell that the dragon casts, you know, kind of like somebody would like going towards a lich.
Right.
Lichdom. It's just a ritual they have. It's like, all right, look, one more surprise.
Yes.
You know, with that, oh.
Well, and since we've talked about the gem left behind,
yes,
and the blood left behind, next up is the Dragonbone Golem.
Different.
What about the bones left behind?
Dragonbone Golem. Different than the Dracolich, I'm sure.
Yes, because this is a golem.
Yeah.
It is linked together with adamantine wire into the form of a dragon. It is not being like the sentience of the dragon is gone.
Right.
It has been replaced with a new sentience.
It's just a massive construct.
Yes. And it's very cool. It's immune to poison, of course, and it's immune to all kinds of conditions.
Yeah.
It has a fear aura. Each creature of the golem's choice that starts its turn within 20 feet of the golem must make a 15 wisdom saving throw or be incapacitated. It's resistant to... it has advantage on saving throws against spells and other magical effects. And it doesn't require food, drink, air, sleep, whatever. It has a pinion attack where it lashes out with the ruins of its wings. Which is a +9 to hit, 2d6 +5 piercing damage. Okay. If the target's medium or smaller, it's pinned beneath the pinion and is restrained. It has 2 pinions it can use at any given time. DC 17 strength athletics check to free yourself. It also has a rend, which is +9 to hit, 2d6 +5 damage. And then it has petrifying breath, a 60-foot cone of petrifying gas. DC 15 saving throw or take 10d6 poison damage and be restrained as you begin to turn stone.
Yeah.
And eventually you will be petrified.
Yep.
Which is a really cool idea. Just like, hey, we got every part of the dragon now. If a mage killed a dragon, and was like, now I've kept its gem, I've kept its blood, I've kept its bones.
Yeah.
Here's what I've got.
Yeah. Well, I also think it's also kind of a cool thing on the DM side because Dracolich is a huge scary thing, but hey, I got this. I don't have to reskin the Dracolich.
Right.
And worry about dumbing it down.
Right.
I can go with this golem.
Instead. Yeah. It's challenge rating 11, so it's difficult, but it's not.
Yeah, but that's the wheelhouse of adventure right there.
Mm-hmm. After that, we have Dragonborn Champions. These are literally just Dragonborn that are paladins.
Mm-hmm. So
you have the Dragonborn of Bahamut, the Dragonborn of Sardior, and the Dragonborn of Tiamat. Each of them has their own stat blocks, but realistically, they have a breath weapon. They have their basic attacks, multi-attack, things like that. The Paladin can do a healing touch once a day. The Sardior's has a heat breath, and Tiamat's has necrotic breath. That's cool. It's cool to have stat blocks for that,
Yeah.
After that, we get a weird thing that I don't want to spend too long on, because I feel like we could get bogged down with. But after that is Dragonflesh Grafters. People that have grafted. Yeah. The interesting thing about them is they have an acid retch. But especially if they've grafted Black Dragon onto them.
Yeah.
They are now beginning to have that breath weapon, and they don't know how to control it. And so it's DC 12 dexterity saving throw, 46 acid damage.
Yeah.
The Dragonflesh Abomination is literally just a chimera of a person that has made themselves into a dragon, and it works pretty much the same way. It's a really interesting idea.
Yeah.
But again, I feel like we get bogged down if we spend too long on it.
Right.
Because we'll start asking, well, how does that, you know?
Well, those who kind of harken back to the last book we reviewed.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think they would tie in really well with that.
Yeah. I do want to call out real quick the Dragonflesh Abomination, like most Chimera, has regeneration.
Yeah.
It regains 10 hit points at the start of its round if it has at least one. So just a thing to think about. Then there's dragon followers, such as Dragon Blessed, or Dragon Chosen, or Dragon Speakers. Again, these are just humanoids.
Humanoid NPC, Dragon
right.
Free, yeah.
And you can take their stat blocks and run them literally as they are.
Yeah. Is it the back of the DM's guide that's got some...
It is, yes. That has the minions almost of like, hey, here's some stuff you can run. So these are cool to have in here. I'm glad they're in the book. We don't really need to cover them because it's just humanoids, you know?
Right. They fill a small need.
Yes. After that is Dragonels, which are like dragon griffins almost. I will show you a picture of this, chat. Because they're basically just riding drakes.
Is it? Oh, okay. Okay, yeah.
They fill that same slot, basically, of a griffin, stat-wise.
When you that top picture, when you hand it up to the screen up there, and it's kind of small over there, it looks like a Jabberwocky.
Right.
I'm not getting on that.
They have a flyby where they don't provoke opportunity attacks. And then they have 2 rend attacks, which is +5 to hit, 2d6 +3 slashing damage. But that's really all it is. They do have a little thing to mention here, which is, hey, if your DM says it's okay, as a paladin, when you use Find Greater Steed, maybe it can work on a Dragonel. So that's a nice thought.
Fair, yeah.
Then we get to the Dragon Turtles.
Of course, yeah.
And we already kind of talked about those. The big thing I would say for their stats is that they have a Blessing of the Sea, which if they get reduced to 0, they come back with 350. The Ancient Dragon Turtle does. Okay. And then it has a legendary action called Boiling Aura, where anything that starts its turn in that area within 20 feet takes 9d8 fire damage if they don't roll above a 24 con save. And being underwater doesn't grant resistance. And then they have a mythic action called Armor of Storms, which is lightning surrounds the dragon turtle and it gains 40 temporary hit points to the start of its next turn. Until all these are gone, any creature that touches the dragon turtle or hits it with a melee attack takes 40-12 lightning damage.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It's pretty cool. And then the young one, of course, follows the same thing. The wormling, of course, they just have less of it.
Well, they expand out from the monster manual.
Mm-hmm. So now we're into E to K, and we're actually almost done. Okay. I know it sounds like E to K and L to Z, but we have like less than 10 to go, I think.
Okay. We can get done. We got this.
Yeah, I think we're going to make it. Egg hunters are next. These are the ones that hunt out dragon eggs.
Yeah. It's a humanoid empathy.
No, it's a tiny monstrosity.
Oh, okay.
It's like a worm almost, a creature that just crawls and eats eggs.
Okay.
Which is a really cool idea. You can do a lot with that.
Especially if like the dragons, like your quest giver protagonist, type thing from the thing. Mm-hmm. Lower level, go clear these out. Our eggs are in danger.
Well, and the big thing is they don't just eat the eggs. They plant their own eggs inside the shell of the dragon egg.
Okay.
With 1d6 new eggs that will burst forth 1d4 days later.
Okay.
And so they give a stat block for the hatchlings, and they give a stat block for the adults.
Okay. And
the big thing, work-wise for them, is they have a false appearance. If they're motionless at the start of combat, it has an advantage on initiative. It can be hard to notice what they are. Then they have multi-attack, where they make 2 barbed proboscis attacks, which are +8 to hit with 1d6 +5 piercing and 2d8 necrotic. And then they have a spore attack, which is basically their breath weapon, which leaves people poisoned. Then they have a rapid adaptation. When they take damage, it gives itself resistance to that damage.
Okay.
Which is very cool.
That's cool. Yeah, I like that.
After that, we have my favorite creature in here.
Really? What is this?
The Elder Brain Dragon.
Oh, of course. Never mind. Okay.
It's a dragon that's been taken over by Mind Flayer.
Yes.
And it's incredible. But I can't spend forever on this because we have more stuff to talk about. So instead, I'll just say it does double damage to object structures. It has 4 legendary resistances. It has tentacle attacks that are +15 to hit, 1d8 +8 psychic damage. It can grapple things. Okay. It has Tadpole Brine Breath, which does exactly what you think it does.
Okay. Brian's tadpoles?
Well, it fires out Mind Flayer babies. 10d10 psychic damage on a failed save. And it's a DC 22 Constitution saving throw. If the creature isn't a construct or undead, it becomes infested with illithid tadpoles.
That's a lovely thought.
While infested, they take 3d10 psychic damage at the start of each of their turn. They can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of their turns and attempt to stop it. But if they're targeted by magic that ends a curse or restores 40 hit points or more, the tadpoles are killed instantly. So there's a way to do that. If they're reduced to 0 while infested, they remain stable but unconscious for 12 hours. When that ends, they're transformed into a Mind Flayer. Casting a wish spell on the unconscious creature rids it of the infestation and prevents it from turning into a Mind Flayer.
Just a wish spell?
Yep.
Okay.
It's the only option. They also have a legendary action called Shatter Concentration. They target a creature it's grappling. The target concentration on a spell it has or an ability it's maintaining ends, and the target takes 3d12 psychic damage.
Yeah. Just happens.
Yep. Then after that we have...
Mind Flayers are rough.
Oh, I love them.
They're great. They're a great enemy.
After that we have Emerald Dragons.
Okay.
And so these are much like the others. They all have their own individual thing. These have spellcasting, of course, because all the gym dragons do.
Yeah.
At will, mage hand, minor illusion. The hand is invisible, too, for them, which is really interesting. 1 day each, as in a daily. Detect thoughts, dispel magic, etherealness, major image, and mislead. They also have a special ability called Warp Perception they can use once a day. They can cast Mirage Arcane with no spell components.
Look, this is a tricksy dragon.
Just
the spells you've listed off, you could mess up some players without ever getting near the dragon.
Oh, yeah. The breath weapon is Disorienting Breath.
Yeah.
16d6 psychic damage, and until the end of its next turn, when the creature makes an attack roll or an ability check, it must roll a d8 and reduce the total by the number rolled. Very cool idea.
Yeah.
It still has Psychic Step, of course. And then it has Emerald Embers. For a legendary action, for 3, it creates a dancing mote of green flame around a creature can see within 60 feet of it. They must succeed on a DC 20 dexterity saving throw or take 12d6 fire damage from a fire that's not real.
Yeah. So saying this is they put some thought into this illusion dragon here.
Yeah, it's very cool. And then of course the young versions, the adult versions, the wormlings, they all have weaker versions of it.
Step downs.
Yeah. Do you know what an eye drake is?
Not.
What if a beholder existed inside the body of a dragon?
Oh God.
This is an eye drake.
That's hideous.
I'm warning you, chat. You might not like this one. I think it's cute, but it has anti-magic breath or breath weapon, which is such a cool idea.
That is. That's potent. Now, is it just for the turn or?
So it is 60-12 force damage, and every spell of 3rd level or lower ends on creatures and objects of the eye drake's choice in that area. And it's a 6 to recharge.
Okay.
Then it has all the eye rays, the freezing ray, the debilitating ray, the repulsion ray, the fire ray, the paralyzing ray, and the death ray.
It sounds like a beholder light.
Yeah.
You know, just because the thing about the beholder, right? You got magic users in the group. They're going to have to figure something out just because it's the central eye.
Absolutely.
You know, so.
After that is the Gem Great Worm, which functions just like the previous Great Worm did, the Chromatic Great Worm.
Makes sense.
Mass telekinesis, spellcasting, and it can cast Dispel Magic, Force Cage, Plane Shift, Reverse Gravity, and Time Stop.
Force Cage is...
Yep.
Can take... You take one person out... Failed roll and take one person out of the fight.
Yep.
It's pretty stout.
The big thing to mention here is that it has a thing called Psychic Beam for its legendary action, which means that it emits a beam of psychic energy in a 90-foot line that's 10 foot wide. 90-foot line. That's nuts.
Two squares wide.
Yep.
That's a long area.
Each creature in that area must make a DC 26 intelligence saving throw or take 5d10 psychic damage. So it's just damage, but... Yeah.
With a 26 save.
Yeah.
Well, it's a great worm, though.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. It's got some really cool stuff to it. But again, we've already kind of talked about great worms.
Yeah. It's just they're just going to be super dragons, you know.
Yeah. Next up is a Gem Stalker.
Okay.
When a gem dragon kills an aberrant creature from the far realm, sometimes the dragon reshapes the alien corpse into a gem stalker.
Okay.
That hunts aberrations. It's a neutral creature. It has spider climb. It has crystal darts where it can fire off the crystals embedded in its body. Depending on which crystal, has a different effect.
That's cool.
And then it has a reaction called Protective Link. When another creature the Gemstalker can see within 30 feet of it is about to take damage, the Gemstalker reduces that damage by 10, 3d6. It then takes damage equal to that amount. So if you have this alongside a Gem Dragon, it will protect it.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I like some of the minions they've put in here.
I do too. Next up is the Ghost Dragon.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is exactly what you think it is. It's
yes.
the spirit of the dragon now.
Yeah.
We have the body, we have the blood, we have the gem, now we have the spirit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Round 4.
Of course, it's resistant to everything, right?
Yeah.
It has incorporeal movement, legendary resistances. It has a terrifying breath, which works exactly as you think it does, 98 cold damage frightened. While frightened, they're paralyzed.
Does 5th edition have terrified condition above frightened?
No. So it's just frightened into paralyzed.
Paralyzed, okay.
But, yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah.
But if you save from it, you're good for 24 hours.
Right. Now, I
can try with the Ghost Dragon. Ghost Dragon looks cool.
I would probably double up radiant damage.
Yeah.
On that one. Yeah.
Ghost Dragon looks
cool. I like it.
Next up is...
Good artwork in this one.
Oh, yeah. This book is great for art.
Yeah.
Next up is the Horde Mimic.
Okay. This is not new.
No, it's not new. It's back, finally.
Yeah. I like it.
The whole Horde is a Mimic.
Yeah.
But not all of it, but most of it, you know? Of course, it has exactly what you think. The pseudopod attack with the tongue. It has a bite attack and 2 pseudopod attacks. The false appearance, because it doesn't look like a Mimic. It looks like a Mimic, which always looks like everything else.
No, I think the old one had a ranged attack.
So this one does too. It's called Caustic Mist.
Okay.
This recharges on a 5 or 6.
Gold or something, actually. I don't remember.
It sprays a fine mist of acid in a 30-foot cone.
Ooh, wow.
If you fail to save, it's 68 acid damage and you're blinded until the end of your next turn.
Yeah.
It also has Shape Changer. It can transform into a horde or back into its true amorphous form whenever it wants. So.
All right. 1 second you're fighting a dragon horde. The next you're fighting Ditto.
Yep, pretty much. Which is just a really cool idea.
Yeah.
It has some minions that are in this book.
Okay.
Called Horde Scarabs. Which are just the coins from the mummy.
Okay, that's what Okay, so instead of giving it the spray of gold, they've actually turned that into a minion.
Yes.
Okay.
It's very cool.
I like it.
And they have a Scale Dust ability they can use as a bonus action once a day. They release magical glittering dust from their wings, and each creature within 5 feet of the scarab must succeed on a 13 dexterity saving throw or be outlined in blue light for 10 minutes.
Very far, perfect.
While outlined in this way, they shed dim light in 10 feet and can't benefit from being invisible. And every dragon within a mile of the creature becomes aware of it and can unerringly track it. Casting Dispel Magic on the creature ends the effect.
So that'd be something I would do in a solo campaign.
Yeah.
Like somebody just picks up this coin and gets it on there.
Man, if Smog had had this, he would have found Bilbo immediately.
Right. This first level, poor little first level character running around, all these dragons looking at him now.
Yeah.
We found you.
There's also a swarm version of these.
Yeah.
Of course, it does the same thing, but it has the swarm function, you know. And then finally, for E to K, we have the Holo Dragon. And this is a different avenue of undead dragon.
Okay.
It's a husk of a metallic dragon's hide filled with radiant energy.
Oh.
So it's basically, here's a picture for you. It's
good
basically
undead.
Like, this one, it chose not to die and took this step to become this undead creature to be able to continue its life's work.
Yeah.
When it's reduced to 0 hit points, its body breaks into 9 pieces. Each piece is a large object with 19 AC, 27 hit points, and immunity to psychic and poison damage. If you don't take them all out after 1d6 days, if they're still within 6 miles of each other, they come back together.
Yep.
And they teleport back to each other.
Yeah.
Each creature, it has a sapping presence. Each creature of the Holo Dragon's choice within 60 feet of it must make a DC 19 Wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, their speed is halved, and they have disadvantage on attack rolls until the end of their next turn. It's very strong.
Mm-hmm.
Radiant Breath does exactly what you think it does, 12d8 radiant damage. Then it has Ghostly Binding. It creates ethereal bindings around a creature it can see within 60 feet of it as a legendary action. It must succeed on a 19 saving throw or be restrained. And it has Booming Scales. A sudden loud ringing noise for 3 actions erupts from the Holo Dragon's frame, Each creature within 10 feet of the Holo Dragon must make a DC 19 Constitution saving throw, taking 7d6 thunder damage on a failed save.
Okay.
I love how this book has gone, let's use every part of the dragon.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so. I don't know. I like that. I like the idea because that's almost a gimme, right, for the evil dragons. But
absolutely. Here's a good version.
Here's a good version of it, yeah.
So we have 7 to go.
Okay.
And some of them, another one's a Great Worm, so we're going to hear that really quickly.
Okay.
Next up is the Lion Drake, which is a lion dragon.
Okay.
Exactly what it sounds like, you know.
Yeah.
Normally used as guards, you know.
Cool.
The big thing that it has to separate it is the blood-chilling roar. Lets out a terrifying roar audible out to 300 feet.
That's the Sphinx roar.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's pretty much just reusing the Sphinx's stat block, honestly.
Okay.
But any creature within 30 feet of the Lion Drake that can hear its roar must succeed on a DC 14 Wisdom saving throw or be frightened for a minute. And if it fails the save by 5 or more, it's also paralyzed. So, but that's pretty much it. Again, it does the job.
I wish it was a little bit more of that.
I do too.
Of failing it by
a certain amount. Right, yeah. I agree.
That has but very nice, very nice.
Yeah, I like it. After that's the Metallic Great Worm. Does everything just like the others. 300-foot cone for the breath. It has sapping breath as well that it can use, also in a 300-foot cone, which makes people fall unconscious for a minute. So that's a real bad time to fall unconscious.
Yeah.
It has a shattering roar for its mythic action that unleashes a magical roar in a 120-foot radius that does 3d12 thunder damage.
Golly.
And they're incapacitated if they fail to save.
Yeah.
So, also I should mention the elemental breath is 13d12 damage. So, this thing is stout. And it of course also has the awakening. If it gets to 0, it comes back with 250 or 450. So, you know.
Yeah.
After that, we have some more constructs, which are metallic sentinels. They're created by metallic dragons to guard their hordes.
Okay.
And this one, it's basically like What If Warforged, but made by dragons. So it's like more sleek.
Okay.
It mostly has the Warforged or Shardmine stat blocks, if you remember the Shardmine in 4.5. Or 4.5. 4th edition?
No, I don't. I didn't play 4th.
Okay. Well, it's pretty much a construct that can... It's telepathic. You know, it doesn't need to speak. It can reach out with its mind, and has a telepathic bond with any other peacekeepers, because these are metallic peacekeepers that are on the same plane of existence as its master.
Yeah.
It has a calming mist, where it releases a calming gas in a 30-foot radius sphere centered on itself, and if you fail that saving throw, you're charmed for a minute. If you're charmed, you're incapacitated.
Okay.
Very cool idea for, like, I don't want to fight, I'm just trying to live my life. I have these peacekeepers to keep people calm when they try to come steal my horde. There's also the Warbler, which is a little bird. It's a songbird.
Which it is.
Yeah.
So, didn't change much there.
Right. The metallic Warbler has a telepathic bond as well.
That's cool.
And it is immune to any spell or effect that would alter its form. And it also has the calming mist, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I like it.
Next up is the Moonstone Dragon. Works exactly the same as the others. It has a dream breath, where it exhales mist in a 90-foot cone, and if you fail the DC 21 con saving throw, you fall unconscious for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It has Moonlight Breath, 11d10 radiant damage, and its spellcasting is Fairy Fire at will, Calm Emotions, Dispel Magic, Invisibility, and Revivify twice daily.
I'm surprised Dream's not on there.
I am too, actually. But very interesting dragon, right? And then, of course, each of the smaller variants have less. But very, very cool. Then there's the Sapphire Dragon. It does exactly the same, but it's Debilitating Breath, 10d10 Thunder, and they're incapacitated.
Okay.
Its spellcasting is, of course, all these have Psychic Stab, because they're gem dragons. Spellcasting for it is Daily Dissonant Whispers, Hold Monster, Meld into Stone, Telekinesis, and Teleport. All very good.
Yep.
And it has a really interesting legendary action called Telekinetic Fling. Chooses a medium or smaller object that isn't being worn or carried that it can see within 60 feet of it. It just hurls it at people.
Look, all I'm saying is I've had a telekinetic flame with Christina Ricci for years.
12d6 bludgeoning damage.
Okay.
And then, of course, the adults, the young, and the wormlings have less and less of that. Then we have Sea Serpents. We're down to 2 left.
All right, look. One thing I've been waiting for, and it hadn't happened yet. We're really close to where it should be. But, all right, Sea Serpents.
Yep.
This should be standard.
So this is the Ancient Sea Serpent. It's the big one.
Yeah.
Right? It has 2 legendary resistances. It has Rhyme Breath, which is exactly what you think it has, 90-10 cold damage. It has a tail, and it can multi-attack with a bite and a tail, right?
Okay.
Or constrict. And that's really all it's got, you know? It's powerful. It does the job. It's a sea serpent.
Yeah.
The young sea serpent does pretty much the same thing. It's just smaller.
Right.
And finally, we have Topaz Dragons.
So they didn't do it. I'm very aggravated.
What were you hoping for?
Steel Dragons.
Yeah, they didn't do it. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Topaz Dragons, much like the other dragons, you know, have their own specific thing going on. And for them, it's Desiccating Breath, Necrotic Energy, 14d6 Necrotic, and they're weakened until the next turn.
Wow. That's a nice little bite on the end of all that necrotic.
Weakened, of course, for anybody that doesn't know, is disadvantage on strength-based ability checks and strength saving throws. And any weapon attacks that rely on strength deal half damage.
Yeah.
It's very strong. For spellcasting, they have Anti-Life Shell once a day, Bane once a day, Control Water once a day, and Create or Destroy Water once a day.
Okay.
They have Psychic Step, of course. And then for their legendary action, the big one is Essential Reduction, which is the dragon targets a creature or an object not being worn or carried that it can see within 60 feet of it. And the target must succeed on a DC 19 con saving throw or take 9d8 necrotic damage, and then it crumbles to dust. I think I forgot to mention the legendary action on the Moonstone Dragon.
Okay.
Which is unfortunately not as cool because it's just it can cast another spell.
Okay.
Kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
But then, of course, the smaller variants of the Topaz Dragon have less.
Overall, man, a great book.
Yes, I agree. I think Fizzban's has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think there's lots of good stuff in there for running dragons. A lot of stuff that's needed that's going to flush out the... Because Monster Manual is kind of minimalistic.
Yeah.
It has some good stuff in there, and it goes side by side with this, which I really like. That's nice. But yeah, good book. And that's it, right, man?
That's it. That's the end of Fizzban's.
Finish up Fizzban's. 101. 1 hour, 1 minute. I'll take off the official thing. That is, man, I was trying to decide. There's a few of those monsters I really like, and I was trying to find what my favorite one is, but I don't know if I have a favorite one out of this list because some of the
Brain Dragon,
right, but some of the because the minions all work together.
Yeah,
right?
the minion. It's so cool having a book that has so many minions in it that are themed around the same thing as the big monsters. Because not only do you get the stat blocks, not only do you get the names, but by buying this one book, you can run any dragons you want and any minions you need for those dragons, except for kobolds, right?
Yeah, well, and you could set it up where you have your gold ancient dragon over here, your red ancient dragon over here, and they have, with this, you have, their hordes, you'll have everything that's guarding their hordes, and more stuff that goes on to. I don't know, man. I think they did a solid job. I'm disappointed there's not steel dragons yet in 5e. I just reaffirmed that we're going to get at least a psychic class.
Oh, for sure. There's so many psionics were added in this book.
Yeah, psionic. And the Dragonlance.
Yeah.
There's too many
literally called out Kryn.
There's too many references.
Yeah. The Draconians are here.
Yeah. And the Draconians was there. The Bahamut's attack with the lance.
Yeah.
The Dragon Lance.
Yes.
That was into the equipment.
Right.
Oh man, I hope they get that out. I dig.
It's gonna be great.
There's one problem if they put out Dragonlance.
What's that?
The Sunday nights I will not be able to run anything else.
That's fair.
It's gonna be fair. Sunday night's gonna become a Dragonlance campaign.
I don't even blame you. I'm down for it.
Oh, that would have nothing to do with me.
Yeah. No, I know. That's very true. Our group has quite a few devoted Dragonlance fans.
That's true. All right, I got about 2 more sips of coffee.
Okay. I think for sure my favorite was the Elder Brain Dragon,
Well, I figured it would be.
There's no doubt in my mind. Illithid dragon that can literally spit illithids at you. How could I love anything else?
Release the dragons, or the illithids, or the dragons that spit illithids at you.
That's right. But I do think it was really cool having all those different types of dragonoids,
Well, one thing I've liked, the past 2 books, looking through them, that I haven't felt with other releases they've done.
Right.
Good, bad, and ugly, right?
Yeah.
They've got good stuff in them, they got some of it didn't like. But both these past books, if I had the player's handbook and this, I can, the last book or this book,
absolutely,
I can run something really original, something really cool.
I also think there's a lot of weird, cool monsters in there, like the the remains of dragons that were reused, or the eye drake, or the dragon elves. You know, a lot of cool ideas that you can use in other stuff easily.
Well, I also like I like that because you've got backups, right? Mm-hmm. Look how long. Oh man, if you're doing combat right, combat can go on a long time.
Yes,
it can
absolutely.
still be entertaining. Normally, you don't want it to go on, but yeah, dude. Okay, hey, you destroyed the dragon. You're getting attacked by the blood.
Right.
You know,
and the bones are moving
towards you.
Yep.
Look at that, and you destroyed that
with
down.
the ghost.
And now and then now you face the ghost of the dragon. You finally put that away. Now,
and then when you go to collect the horde, it was actually a horde mimic.
Exactly.
No, I agree. I think that, and this is one of those books. Again, we're not sponsored by Wizards, but this is one of those books that if you are a homebrew DM, you do a lot of homebrew, at least get the monsters for this book, because there's so much you can do with the stuff that we talk about.
Oh yeah. Any of this. Well, 5th edition that's one of the strengths of 5th edition.
Absolutely.
Is it's really easy to adjust things.
Absolutely.
And make stuff work, and to do it on the fly.
Yeah.
5th edition. Yeah, 5th edition's got the best rules, I think, for that.
Mm-hmm.
But man, I am out of coffee.
All right, and we finished Fizzbans. So next week we'll either be back with Wizards, or with the other thing that we might do. We'll see. I got to take a look at that and see if it's actually worth doing or not.
Okay.
Because I didn't know if we were going to finish Fizzbans tonight or not.
Yeah.
But
I think everything falls right through December that we won't have any missed podcasts.
Yeah, we should be good to go.
So we get all the way through December.
Knock on wood.
Right.
But until next time, I've been Trey.
I've been Rungren.
And we've been the Full Spectrum D&D podcast. Remember to always enjoy the full spectrum that D&D has to offer.